What would my reality be if I did this or if I chose that? I'm going to be very specific today, which is why we have 9 piles. And this is going to allow you to view your kind of alternate realities based on what choices you are going to make. Hello, lovely, and welcome to this week's video. I hope you enjoyed our video topic last week. Today's topic is actually recommended by someone from our group, one of our subscribers. Now, if you're new here, I do want to thank you for clicking on this video and giving our channel a chance. And by our, I mean me, as well as all of my beautiful subscribers who I refer to as my lovelies. I do hope that after today's reading, you'll be encouraged to subscribe. We always have great conversations going on down in the comment section, and hopefully what we're creating here is a community of friendships where we are all learning and growing together. I do want to show you guys my earrings today. I always leave a link to my sister's Etsy shop down in the bio of the video. She makes earrings out of clay. She does much more unique designs than this, but I was hanging out with her this last weekend and she had all of her clays out and she said, you should try and make something of your own. So I literally just I did the little circles and then I painted, or actually she has a little marker thing, and I painted my signs, my sun, moon, and rising. This is in tropical, so Leo, sun, Libra, moon, Cancer, rising. And then on this side, I thought it would be cool to do my sidereal, which is Cancer, sun, Virgo, moon, and Gemini, rising. But I just love these. I think they're so fun. But if you're needing some jewelry, feel free to check out her Etsy shop. Everything's very well priced, and she was doing some like very ornate earrings this weekend. I really don't know how she does it. But okay, so let's get into today's video topic. I'm going to be very specific today, which is why we have 9 piles. You can't see them all here, but I'll flash an image here in just a bit. And this is going to allow you to view your kind of alternate realities based on what choices you are going to make. So when you're looking at your pile, kind of focus on, okay, what would my reality be if I did this, or if I chose that, or if I moved on to this, or let go of that. It could even be about a relationship. Do I stay or do I go? And kind of looking at the realities that you'll end up at depending on the choices that you make. So you're more than welcome, and I actually suggest that you pick more than one pile for today's topic. So like if you're in between a decision on something, do one pile for if you go this way and one pile for if you go that way, and you can listen to both, and hopefully it will help you determine what decision to make. I'm expecting that the piles are going to touch on kind of your emotional state. How are you going to feel if you make this decision or that decision? Are you going to feel good? Are you going to feel weighed down? Are you going to feel regretful? All of that. So on each pile, there is a doorway, and that doorway will be the entrance into that alternate reality based on your decision. So I'm excited to see where these doorways are going to take all of us. And keep in mind, this reading is timeless. So if months from the future you're caught in another decision, don't know what choice to make, you're more than welcome to come back to this video and pick another doorway and see where you end up. So I just want to say also for today's video that make sure that you are really tapped into your own intuition as you listen to your reading, okay? Especially when choosing and selecting your pile. Really make sure that you calm yourself, tap into your intuition, and allow that to guide you to the proper doorway. And then, of course, don't forget to leave us all a comment below. Let us know if it helped you in a decision you were stuck in. And we like talking down in the comments, but you guys already know that. So, all right, I love you all, and I'm going to flash an image of all of the piles, and I will meet you at yours. Bye. Hi, Pile One, and welcome to your reading. Let's take a look at what sort of emotional state you're going to be in if you make this particular decision. Let's start with your card topper, and then I'll flip over all of the cards here to get an overall feel of the energy and help guide you towards the right direction. So here's the doorway you chose. Very sturdy, very solid, right? Gives me kind of like Capricorn, Taurus, like earthy vibes. On the back, it says palmistry. Fortune and tarot, collective destiny. The palm lines from birth tell your sacred palmistry. And then underneath at the bottom, I don't know if you can see it, it says listen to the notes of intuition. I'll try and throw up some pictures of the cards as I read through them and look through them on the screen. That way you can really connect with these. So that's interesting. It seems like this doorway is kind of telling you, look, you know what your intuition is saying. Why are you doubting yourself on this? But let's see if the intuition is guiding you towards this decision or away from it by flipping over the rest of the cards. Okay, so from my tarot deck that I created, we have level 14, the Apothecary, and it's in reverse, and I'll read this to you in just a second. From my interactive deck, we have the little piggy on the hamburger and fries, drinking a milkshake. Then, wow, that's crazy, you guys. We have Temperance in reverse again. Level 14, the Apothecary. This is that tarot deck I created, but this is the Temperance card. I've just adjusted the names. So we have Temperance here twice, both times in reverse, and this is Sagittarius energy as well. So I don't know how that may apply to you in your life, but strong Sagittarius energy, and even maybe some Gemini energy as well, since both of these are in reverse, and Sagittarius and Gemini are opposites of one another. Okay, from my astrological deck, we have Mars in Cancer, and it says quarrel. It kind of has two men going at it, facing one another, and they definitely look angry and upset. And then from the archetype deck, we have the Alchemist. Now, this is crazy, you guys, because the Alchemist, this card, is not a tarot card, but every time that I have it show up, I always say, this reminds me of the Temperance card. The message on the card does, even the imagery. So 3 times here we have this Alchemist, Temperance sort of energy. So let me read through the cards here for you. So from my deck, it says, bad habits or tendencies out of control. That goes really well with the little pig on the burger and french fries. It says not holistically healthy, needing to exercise, eat and drink right, medicate, heal two things or groups that are not able to blend harmoniously and create something new, which makes me think of that quarrel card, the Mars and Cancer. And it says opposite of healing, the opposite of healing. And this card is associated with Sagittarius as well as the cadent houses, which are houses 3, 6, 9, and 12 in a natal chart. Which cover a lot of different things. The 3rd house is about our communication, our local community, our perspective, and our siblings. The 6th house is about our employees or ourself as an employee, our day-to-day habits and routines and small little responsibilities, as well as health, like more of the physical health. And the 9th house is about our big picture views on life, our religious and spiritual views on the world and life and meaning. And it's also about foreign travel, foreign languages. And then the 12th house is about our subconscious. It's about more of a spiritual health and mental health and well-being. So like depression, anxiety, all of these things can fall into that house. So it's interesting. It does look like if you make this particular decision, you are going to feel unhealthy. Things are going to feel out of balance and not right. And there's going to be 2 opposing sides, either within you or externally, if this has to do with another person, that are just not going to see eye to eye. The relationship just doesn't look healthy. And it could even cause you to compensate with negative sort of habits like comfort foods, for example. A lot of times when people get in a negative emotional state, they want to kind of self-medicate, but they'll do so through kind of negative habits like smoking or, eating badly or just really being lethargic and not having a good routine. And so it feels like that's where this decision will lead you if you choose to do this, whatever it is that you are contemplating choosing. The Alchemist card, it has the light attribute and then it has the shadow attribute. I'm going to read both. It says transformation of base motives and goals into golden wisdom. And the shadow attribute says the misuse of the power and knowledge that come through spiritual practice. So some of you may be contemplating like experimenting, okay, with particular maybe psychedelics, or I don't know, this could be related to making a choice or a decision in order to investigate or experiment with your religious and spiritual views and ideas, okay? Maybe some of you are thinking about, I don't know, messing with a Ouija board, for example, something spiritual. But it doesn't look like it's going to lead you into a healthy emotional and physical state. And then for some of you, this has to do with something in regards to your health. Maybe there's a decision that you have to make in terms of your health or with your doctor, and maybe the doctor's kind of leaving it up to you what you want to do. If you make this particular decision, it does look like you'll be kind of out of whack. And then for others of you, this has to do with a relationship. Should I go back with this person? And it looks like there's just still not, there's not going to be balance here. There's not going to be healing here if you make this particular decision. I do feel though that you all know this on an intuitive level, and that's why this doorway came up. Listen to your feelings a bit more. Try and determine what sits right with you and what doesn't. A great example could be used with this little pig on the burger card. It tastes good, right? But when you're tapped into your intuition, then you'll notice that when you eat something unhealthy, it might taste really great in the moment, but not long after, if you're tapped into your body, you notice how crappy it makes you feel. And how, oh, this doesn't feel good. This isn't giving my body what it needs. I don't feel great right now, or whatever. So it feels like you need to do the same thing in regards to this decision. Whatever this decision or choice is about, it has to do something that has to do with something that is tempting and may taste or feel good in the moment. But your intuition is more concerned with the long-term effects of this decision, which it looks like won't feel good, okay? So I hope that makes sense. Comment below and let me know if this helped you at all, and hit the thumbs up button as well if you enjoyed this video. That will help push it out to other people. But make sure that you go back to the piles and choose one now for the opposite decision, and see where it leads you, because that may help clarify some of these things. So anyways, I love you. Thank you so much for coming. I'll see you at the next pile or on the next video. Bye. Hi, Pile 2, and welcome to your reading. Let's take a look at what you're going to feel like if you make this particular decision, whatever decision it was that led you to this doorway. I do want to say before I get into this, don't forget after this reading to go back and choose a doorway for if you make the opposite decision. It may help clarify and add to the reading. Let's look first at the doorway you chose here. And I'll throw up some imagery as I go through the reading. That way you guys can look and connect with the cards as well. But so the back of your doorway says 3 of Cups, a toast to friendship in the afternoon sun. 3 cups and happiness, 3 cheers are done. And it says at the bottom, celebration is near. So far, this is looking really good. That's a lot of bright energy coming off of that card in regards to this particular decision. And it could have to do with relationships, or creativity. Could involve 3 or more things because of that 3 of Cups energy. Let's take a look at the rest of the cards. Okay, so from my personal tarot deck, we have the Company of Endeavors reversed, and I'll read that through here in just a bit. From the interactive deck, we have the little boy on the in the war tank, okay, looking kind of scared and stressed out. And then from the standard tarot deck, we have 3 of Pentacles, so that's another 3. From the astrological deck, we have Sun in Gemini, and it says versatility. And from the archetype deck, we have the Mystic card. It says revels in intimate union with the divine. Okay, so let me read through this Company of Endeavors card. It is reversed, okay? It says a world, group, or organization that is consumed with goals, a group obsessed with overachieving, the never-ending rat race, a world where you can never be good enough, a world where you never feel successful or where your success is constantly compared to others, a community where the impossible goals are stifling to one's creativity. This card is associated with the fire element, so Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, as well as the 11th house, the first house, fifth house, and ninth house. So, okay, and then let me read you the Mystic card. There's a light attribute and a shadow. The light I already read. It says revels in intimate union with the divine. The shadow attribute says a delusional rapport with the divine. So it feels like you all are stuck in a major state of anxiety around this decision. And it could have to do with leaving a particular job, or maybe working towards some sort of promotion, or maybe requesting a promotion. It does feel it feels work related to me. It doesn't have to be, or definitely related to like the inner child and the creativity, because whatever you're doing right now prior to making this decision feels stifling, and it feels like it is kind of trapping you, but there's some sort of fear related to getting out of it. Like, even though you're miserable, you, I don't know, you fear like that things may be even worse if you were to leave, or that it would look bad on your part. But I'm seeing that if you make this, it looks like the decision that you came here for is in regards to walking away from this thing, standing up to your anxiety or your fears, and walking away or leaving, going into something new. And I think that it looks like with that Three of Cups on your doorway and the Three of Pentacles here, that it is going to make you happy. It's going to fulfill you emotionally. And I even see financially as well, you know, with the Three of Pentacles. That's a card that's about collaboration and kind of you being in the position of being looked up to by others, being seen as the expert, the person that knows what they're doing, the person that can delegate everyone, and a person that really enjoys their job as well and enjoys what they do, what they create. There's a versatility here that's going to come into your life through this decision, where you may have up to this particular point in your life kind of followed this straight and narrow path. This will be the first time that you've kind of decided to maybe hop off of it, create a new route for yourself. But by making this decision, it's going to allow you to roll with life a little better, practice a little bit more versatility and ease in your life, and open up that creative well that's within you, like a lot of joy and happiness here with that Sun and Gemini card. And with the Mystic card that came up, I'm feeling like there's going to also be a realization as well through this decision and its outcome, that your own inner well-being, no, I don't want to say that. There's a lot of fears in your head, okay? And those fears freeze you in a lot of ways. And up until this point, you take those fears and those thoughts and you take them as guidance, like, oh, well, these fears and thoughts are keeping me safe. Whereas after you make this decision, you're going to realize that those fears and thoughts weren't guidance. Those were fears. Those were things that you were just scared of. That wasn't your intuition. That wasn't related to God's guidance. That was related to your own sort of psychological fear around stepping out of your comfort zone and stepping out of the box. Okay, so I see a lot of healing here, and a lot more joy and happiness and emotional fulfillment by making this decision. You being able to step into a world or a life that feels much more liberated and creative. Okay, so I would say to go for it, to make this decision. But as always, you can go back to the piles and select an additional pile for if you were to make the opposite decision, like in this case, I guess it would be to stay or choose something else, and you can see how that matches up against this one. But I think this is a great option for you guys. So comment below, let me know if it resonated and what you enjoyed about the reading, and I'll chit chat with you guys down there. And I'll either see you at your next pile on this video, or I'll see you in next week's video. Love you guys. Hi, Pile 3, and welcome to your reading. I do want to say before we get into this particular reading, Don't forget afterwards to go back to the piles and choose an additional pile for if you were to make the opposite decision or another decision other than this one. That way you can expand on this reading and kind of see how this choice matches up with that choice, okay? So let's start with the doorway that you all chose. And I'll throw up pictures as I go so you guys can see and connect with the cards as I read through them. But you all have this really cool, like electric blue doorway. Very pretty. I don't think this card's ever come out in any of my piles. Okay, on the back side it says Secret Sketches. Wander and seek the familiar and friendly kind. Draw memories and sketches for others to find. That's interesting. So it almost feels like this card is kind of saying to create or make decisions in secrecy, like to not go and announce all of your ideas to everyone, to move very methodically. And maybe that's what you were contemplating here. Do I open up or do I keep it to myself? So let's flip over the rest of the cards and kind of see how you're going to be feeling if you do make this particular decision, whichever one brought you here. Okay, so from my tarot deck that I created, we have spiritual growth in values, and it is reversed. I'll read it to you in just a second. From the interactive deck, we have, it looks like a judge, like an angry judge, or maybe she's a nun that works for like a Catholic school, but she's got this long list of things that she's trying to make sure that you do, like do this and do that and do this and do that, like very strict and a bit judgmental maybe. And then from the standard tarot, we have the Ace of Wands. From the astrological deck, we have Mercury in Gemini, and it says excitement. And then from the archetype deck, we have the Trickster. That goes really, really well with the card topper. Okay, let me read you this initial card and the archetype card, and then we'll get into the reading. Okay, so spiritual growth and values, and it's reversed. It says needing to give up on a dream, clinging too hard to a dream that isn't for you, being unrealistic, needing to focus on enjoying the journey instead of always stressing over the outcome. Cut yourself some slack. This is an 11 card, and it's associated with Neptune in Taurus in the 11th house. The Trickster card, on the light attribute, it says transcending convention, stuffiness, and predictable behavior. And on the shadow attribute, it says manipulating others through duplicity. Now, duplicity is interesting because we do have the Mercury in Gemini card, which says excitement, and Gemini is known as a very duplicitous sign. There's two different sides to the Gemini. So it feels like whatever this choice is that you came here imagining that you were going to make and kind of looking at this outcome, it feels like it has to do with doing something in secrecy, not getting people's approval for something and just going for it and kind of keeping it under wraps, or maybe only exposing it with a very selective few people. Maybe this has to do about manifesting something. It does feel like you are going to be releasing something that you've been clinging onto for a long time. I think that's what that spiritual growth in values is talking about, that kind of clinging too hard to something that isn't for you. And maybe what you've been clinging to has to do with kind of getting others' approval for everything that you do. And maybe this is going to be the first time that you are like, you know what, I'm going to do it in secret without getting people's approval. I'm going to let go of this thing I've been chasing after for so long, which has to do with getting that approval from everyone. I'm going to let go of that dream and accept that I'm not going to get it. And it feels like you're going to be bringing a lot of excitement into your life. You're going to be breaking some sort of rule here, definitely. I see that with the Trickster card, as well as this little judgmental woman that's staring at you. It's like you're going to almost like be reveling in it. Like they don't even know that I am doing this or that, or that I'm going against the grain. Ha 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 ha. Like, I don't know. You're going to feel very much like the little trickster. You're going to be amusing yourself. You're going to feel very amused, very kind of, I'm getting kind of butterflies in the stomach, like, oh my gosh, is this dangerous? Is this crazy? What am I doing? But also very imaginative as well, because since you're going to be kind of keeping this all to yourself, it just feels like your imagination is going to be bubbling over. And you're going to be, releasing this idea that you ever needed people's approval, and realizing that you only need your own approval or the approval of God, and God is whatever you perceive God to be. What is your personal relationship with God versus, what everyone else tells you about God. Like realizing that that doesn't matter so much. It's about your intimacy with yourself and with God and with life, and doing what you need to do or what you want to do, what you feel is best for yourself. So you feel very energized, okay? Um, yeah, you feel very energized and very excited. Now, for some of you, I feel that this decision may not be the best decision, perhaps ethically or morally, okay? But this reading is about touching on kind of what you're going to be feeling. Are you going to be feeling good or not if you make this decision? And I do see that you will be feeling very good, very lighthearted and excited and happy and passionate, okay? So you will be feeling good, but I would recommend going to the piles and choosing an additional pile for if you do the opposite of this, just so you can compare and contrast the two choices and determine which one is right for you. But yeah, this is very fun. I'm hearing lots of kind of giggling and laughter, so it's that type of energy that you'll be stepping into if you make this decision, okay? So I hope that helps you a bit. Comment below if you want to let me in on your little secret. I would love to know, and I will either see you at the next pile that you choose or in the next video. Love you guys. Hi, Pile 4. Welcome to your reading. Can't wait to see where this decision is going to lead you emotionally and energetically if you do decide to make it. Don't forget, after you listen to this reading, to go back to the piles and choose a pile for if you were to make the opposite decision. That way you can compare and contrast the two choices, and hopefully it will help you make a decision. Let's look at your card topper first, and I will throw up images of the cards as I look through them and read through them. That way you can connect as well. So this particular doorway, it's almost like it's like a long hallway, right? It's not just as simple as a door and then you're in. It's like this long path you have to walk down. Lots of orange, which can be associated with passion and excitement and creativity. But then there's also a groundedness here because the bottom half of the card is in this muted color, this gray. So interesting. Lots of masculine energy. No, there's actually a good balance, I guess, because that earthy energy is a feminine energy, and then that fire energy is that masculine. So it feels pretty balanced. Okay, the back of the card says silent skill. It says, I challenge you to unpack your mind. In meditation's grace, the soul can unwind. It says, breathe in, breathe out, let go of doubt. Very interesting. So yeah, it feels like there could be a really nice balance that you're walking into as you create this decision, and this new sense of balance could really calm your mind. There could even be some healing that happens through this balance of your energies as you make this decision, and a deeper connection to your spirituality as well. So let's flip through the cards and get an overall feel for this particular decision and where it will lead you. Okay, so from my tarot deck, we have level 4, the Mister, and it is upright. I'll read that one to you in a second. From the interactive deck, we have this, it's like a half bull, half man. It looks very angry, right? With fire coming out of his nose. There's that passion, I guess, from the doorway. From the standard tarot, we have 5 of Swords. It is in reverse. I don't usually do reversals, but I think I am going to leave this one in reverse, at least for now. That feels right. From the astrological deck, we have the Sun in Capricorn, and it says achievement. And then from the archetype deck, wow, we have the King. And you know, the King goes really well with this initial tarot card. Let me read this to you. So level 4, the Mister, is associated with the Emperor in the standard tarot. I've just kind of renamed them. And the Emperor goes really well with this King card. It's kind of like they're the same energy. So this is upright. It says the idea of being a husband or father, emotionally ready to be a husband or father, the breadwinner, the boss. It says the archetypal husband, father, a CEO or high-level leader, an admired leader, an optimum manager or person that takes charge, controls, provides support, and maintains order, organizing something. This card is associated with Aries as well as the angular houses, which are houses 1, 4, 7, and 10, which are all about the self versus the other and private life versus public life. So interesting. If you make this decision, oh, let me read you the king card. There's light attributes and shadow. I'll read you both. The light attributes say enlightened, benevolent leadership and benefiting those in your charge. The shadow attributes say excessive feelings of entitlement or rulership without restraint. So I will say that if you make this particular choice, you're going to feel very much in control. For some of you, this could have to do with a new relationship coming in, uh, like leaving an old relationship behind. And by leaving that behind, you are allowing like a true soulmate to come in. But it doesn't have to be for everyone. But you are going to feel very dominant, very much in control, very much like the boss, and you're going to feel a very high sense of achievement. We do have that sun in Capricorn, which is like where you were able to look back and say, wow, I pushed through and this was tough and that was tough, but I maintained my discipline and my sense of duty and I've done it. So a really big growth in your ego and your sense of self that's very positive. Now on the negative end of this decision, I do see some conflicts, okay, that have to do with you being able to maintain your control and your boundaries. Because this decision does have to do with you kind of putting up some boundaries between yourself and others and really feeling in charge. And when we make that sort of shift in our life, especially if we were the opposite way before, people who have known us are going to want to challenge that. Like, that's not you. You can't just do that all of a sudden. It's been this way for so many years. So I do see that at first, even you're going to be feeling very much in control, but there could also be some arguments or tensions with others as you continue to assert yourself and draw these boundary lines. Okay. But even with that, I see a lot of brightness and happiness and a lot of like empowerment through this decision. And you will be able to maintain those boundaries and draw those lines in the sand with others. I definitely think the card topper, it was talking about meditation and kind of that balance between the masculine and feminine. I do think that during this transition, throughout this decision, place a priority on self-soothing and calming sort of exercises, whether that be meditation and kind of breath work, or maybe making sure that you take time to take a good long shower each day or read and unwind, like to consciously choose to do things that will disconnect you from the tension or frustration you may be feeling with others. That's going to help you handle yourself better through these changes. But overall, this feels good to me, you guys. This feels very empowering. And once you get through the initial tensions and the initial kind of tough work that go along with this decision, I feel that your relationships are going to be much more healthy and balanced, not just the relationship with yourself, but with others. And like I said earlier, I do see this kind of soulmate connection being able to come in, or maybe for some of you it had to do with kind of healing a previous connection. It'll be different for each and every one of you, but don't forget to go back to the piles, pick one for the opposite decision. That way you can compare and contrast these. But I really like this. Okay, you're going to feel, like I said, very powerful through this decision. Okay, so anyways, I love you guys so much. I will either see you at the next pile you choose or in the next video. Bye. Hi, Pile 5. Welcome to your reading. I do want to say before I get into this to make sure to go back to the piles after this reading and choose one that would represent the opposite choice or a different choice from this one. That way you can compare and contrast the two outcomes, and hopefully it will help you make your decision. So let's start with the card topper you all chose, and I am going to flash images up here of the cards. That way you guys can connect with them as I'm reading them and looking at them. But this card has come out before, and it reminds me of Kim and Kanye's house. Like, it's very minimalist, very clean, very white, So I always get kind of like a cleansing feeling, like clearing out the clutter, being able to see that light, kind of like the star card in the tarot. But let's look at the back here. It says, a moment's joy. Sand through the hourglass, yet time could stand still. A moment lasts forever, and the bliss of the heart's will. Interesting. So this choice could be bringing you like a temporary relief or a temporary happiness that even though it's temporary in the physical state, it brings you kind of everlasting joy. Kind of like, for example, making the decision to take a vacation, and you think, well, what difference will it just make? It's just a week in my life, anyways. I need to focus on work. But it would be like the cards kind of saying, yeah, the vacation itself is only going to be a week, but the memories you make on it and being able to mentally place yourself back into those memories will forever be available to you and are always going to bring you joy. So, yeah, it feels like this decision has to do with something that you may think is so temporary and insignificant that maybe it's not even worth choosing or you're just not sure. Let's flip over the rest of the cards, though, and soak in the overall energy of this decision. Okay. So for my tarot deck we have level 20, the resurrection, and it's reversed. I will read that to you in a second. From the interactive deck, we have the woman, she always comes up, but we have the woman that is replaying old memories, negative memories only though. She's replaying and looking at old memories that maybe she has regrets about or guilt over or sadness over, and she's just kind of keeping herself in that mental state and just kind of wasting away in that darkness. From the standard tarot, we have the moon card, that's Pisces energy. From the astrological deck, we have Saturn in Aries, and it says risk. And then from the archetype deck, we have the artist. And the artist card like came flying out when I was shuffling. I always take jumper cards, but this card, it did like 3 flips in the air and then landed. And it was flipped over when it landed, so I saw what it was. And I remember thinking, okay, wow, Spirit really wanted that card to come out. So, I'm getting a strong Pisces, Venus, Libra, Taurus-y like energy here. Let me read you the cards. So level 20, the resurrection reversed. It says not realizing something, not aware, needing to realize or be aware, oblivious, ignoring the call to action, holding on to shame, resisting a purification, resisting a purification or a cleansing, atheism, living a good life, and that's in quotations, that is without spirituality or spiritual awareness, living day by day, hitting snooze. This card's associated with the fire element, so Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, as well as the 8th, 9th, and 12th house. Interesting. The artist card, there are light attributes and shadows. So on the light attributes, it says, expressing a dimension of life that is just beyond the 5 senses, inspiring others to see life symbolically. And in the shadow, it says, using talent as an excuse to mistreat others, posing as the starving artist to elicit pity. Whew. So, okay, it looks like this decision that you're making, it's very much tied up in your spiritual and emotional cleansing and healing, which is therefore also connected to our inner creativity and joy, like the light within us. And it does feel like if you make this particular decision, it will be you're going to feel like you are in denial about something, okay? You're going to feel like you're placing yourself in a position of being ignorant, like ignorance is bliss, or in denial of something, not wanting to face the reality of the negative reality of something, placing yourself into an illusion. And it's almost like you feel for some reason that this decision is the safer one. That's why you are considering this decision. You feel like it's safer for some reason. But this particular decision is actually a lot riskier than if you were to do something else. There's more risk in your downfall through this decision than through anything else. And whether or not you came here to contemplate like therapy or psychology, I do feel like you all need that in your life. Need a good therapist, a good counselor, a good psychologist, because there are a lot of things from your past that have stacked up, that have gone unhealed and unacknowledged, that have now stacked up against you and led you to this particular place in life. You all are at a soul level, okay, you all are highly spiritual and highly artistic and creative. And so much of that is being blocked through this denial of something. So if you make this particular decision, it feels like you're going to really feel no different than you do now. Okay. It's not going to shift or change anything from the way you feel now, but it feels like the way you feel right now in this moment isn't that great. So, what you really want is to make a decision that's going to heal that or shift that, bring in some joy. And that's really what you need. It also feels like you have maybe put off a lot of small joys in life because you think that they are useless or insignificant, like maybe choosing not to take the vacation, not to travel there, not to enroll in that cooking class or the baking class, or not to, I don't know, start your own little YouTube channel just for fun. Like you have pushed things away from yourself that you love because you feel like you don't deserve them, like there's a lot of shame here, or you feel like it's useless. Okay, so if you make this particular decision, you're going to be in that same sort of energy. It feels dark. You're going to feel like you are in the dark in your own life. I guess is the best way I can put it. But you are meant to shine. I think that's why this artist card came flipping out 3 times. Spirit wants you to make a decision that honors your ego and your ability to create and shine and sparkle, kind of like the Aquarius card, the star card, which didn't come out here, but I feel like it's because this is the decision that's not going to lead you to that. Okay, so it's a darker, heavier energy here. That I don't want you to make. But of course, go back to the piles, select a pile for a different decision, a different choice. That way you can compare and contrast the 2 of these, okay? And hopefully that will help you. But thank you so much for coming to this reading, and I really do hope it helped, because this is a dark, heavy energy here, and I really feel for you having to make these choices, and everything feels dark. It's hard for you to see. So I can understand why choices would be difficult to make. You can't see anything in the dark, and there's no sunlight here in this pile. So you're literally you feel blind as you're making these choices. But there is a different choice that could shift all of that for you. So I want you to go back and choose a different pile, okay? So I will either see you at your next pile or at next week's video, okay? I love you guys. Thank you for coming. Hi, Pile 6. Welcome to your reading. I do want to say before I get into this, make sure after this reading you go back and choose a secondary pile for if you were to make the opposite decision or a different decision. That way you can compare and contrast the 2. So let's start with your card topper. You will have this really beautiful cobalt blue doorway, and it actually has a star right on the front of it and lots of cool plants and stuff. Like it's a very witchy sort of vibe, and there's even like a Greece vibe to this as well with the building and the construction of it. It looks like the images you see of Greece. But okay, so on the back of it, it says the art of life. There's no sacred light in the aura of the invisible life. Be bold in your skin. Let your love dance in sight. So this is kind of about like exposing yourself in some way, like deciding to no longer be invisible and really exerting yourself out in the world or to others, maybe exposing parts of yourself that you haven't before. But let's flip over to the rest of the cards. That way we can get an overall feel of the energy in this decision and, if it's the right one to make here. Okay, so from my tarot deck, we have a beginning and values, and I will read that one to you in just a second. From the interactive cards, wow, we have the superhero woman. Amazing. From the standard tarot, holy crap, you guys, we have the 10 of Cups. This is like the most positive pile I think we've gotten so far. Let's look at the last 2. Okay, from the astrological deck, we have Venus in Libra, and it says indecision. And from the archetype deck, we have the Liberator, which also looks kind of like that superhero card. It's 2 very powerful women, and they've kind of got a light or a torch or a sun on them. So very, very cool. Okay, let me read the cards. So a beginning in values, and it's upright. It says an opportunity, a breakthrough, the beginnings of money, a seed, conception, a new job or secure relationship, a raise or promotion, an increase in finances, a gift. This card is associated with the number 1, houses 1, 8, and 10, as well as Pluto in Capricorn. The Liberator card has a light attribute and a shadow. So on the light, it says freeing yourself and others from outmoded beliefs, releasing negative thought patterns. In the shadow, it says imposing your own tyranny over those you claim to liberate and ignoring legitimate constraints. Wow. Okay, so if you guys make this particular decision, there's going to be a huge breakthrough in your energy and in the energy of your life. And you're going, I see that there's been indecision about this for a while with that Venus and Libra. This could have to do with a relationship or your love life. It definitely has to do with your values in general. There's a shift in what you value. Do you value do you value your ability to conform in order to appease everybody? Or are you now shifting that value towards a value of authenticity, regardless of what others think of you? That's the type of shift I feel here. A big sense of confidence. And I see it leading you towards your kind of happily ever after, your happy ending with that 10 of Cups. So, yeah, there's a lot of strong relationship and family energy here. You're going to be much more well received than what you've been anticipating. Like something has made you hold back from this decision, I think. And I think it's because you believe there's a possibility that it could end up a big mess. But I see here for you all that chose this pile, that is not the case. This is going to be so fulfilling. So, I don't know, you're just going to feel really in the zone as you make this decision. And you're going to realize that when you decide that all you need is yourself, that you're the only one who needs to love and approve of yourself, when you finally step into that energy, you now become open and available to receive the love from others because you're finally going to feel authentic. Because when we're being inauthentic, when we're not being our true self, then when we receive love from others, we can't really accept it. It kind of falls flat because we think, oh, well, they're giving love to the person who they think I am, but I'm not even really that person. So, really, that love they're giving me doesn't truly count. That love they're giving me is just for my mask, for who they think I am. So, you end up feeling very weak and very unlovable. When you become fully authentic, that's when you can really receive love, accept love from others. Because when you're your authentic self and someone's like, wow, I love this and that about you, you're so cool, you're so awesome, then you're like, okay, that love they're sending me, it's for me and who I actually am. So yes, I can accept that, I can receive it. That's the type of change that's going to be happening. It feels like your heart chakra is just going to be fully open and bright and just pumping. This could have to do with your sexual orientation or even religious beliefs, and maybe those somehow being stigmatized in society, and that's why you've held yourself back from exposing this part of yourself. Um, to you, this decision feels like something that could be quite scandalous. But it's really not, okay? I guess that's the way I want to say it. It's really not. This is going to be great, okay? This is the right decision to make, is what I would say. I mean, definitely choose an additional pile. That way you can really compare and contrast these two different energies. But this feels amazing, okay? And I really feel like, especially with that Liberator card, you're going to be lighting the way for others that will view this metamorphosis and watch this change and be inspired by it, or will be able to empathize with it on some level. There could be a level of kind of fame being brought into your life through finally becoming who you really are, which has been hidden away. At least this aspect of it has. And you are you have this magnetic persona about you that you're finally going to be showcasing to the world through this decision. Okay. So beautiful, beautiful energy, like rock solid energy, very stable. You're going to be feeling on top of the world with this decision. Okay. All right. Comment below if you want. Let me know. I don't know what this is about. I would love to talk to you guys down there. And I'll either see you at your additional pile or in next week's video reading. So I love you. Thank you so much for coming. Bye. Hi, Pile 7. Welcome to your reading. I do want to just remind you before we get into this pile that after this reading, make sure you go back and choose a different pile for if you were to make the opposite decision or a different decision from this one. So that way you can compare and contrast the two. Okay, let's start with the topper you all chose. This doorway here that looks kind of tattered and old. I mean, definitely, I don't know, it's exuding a lot of wisdom, right? Because it looks like it's been standing for such a long time and been through so much. And at the bottom, that looks like a lotus flower, which lotus flowers are so beautiful, but it takes them a long, long time to bloom. And they actually grow in like the mud, like in these sort of like swampy, ugly places. It needs that ugliness in order to thrive and to grow and to finally bloom. And when it does bloom, wow, does it stand out from everything else around it. So anyways, let's see what the back of the card says. Oh, wow, okay. And of course, the back of the card says the sacred lotus. All right. It says compassion in action, the chosen tool. I see now the lotus in your spirit's jewel. Ooh, I wonder what this decision has to do about. But it looks like it has something to do with you being able to bloom or see the beauty in the ugliness, either in yourself or in your life or within others, something to that effect. And this is something years in the making, okay? This has to do with wisdom and maturity and personal growth, okay? So, and maybe even like shadow work to an extent. Let's turn over the rest of the cards and get an overall energy feel for this particular decision. Okay, so we have the caretaker of feelings. It's upright. I will read that to you in just a second. From the interactive cards, we have this knight or this soldier that's guarding the castle. Very cool. From the standard tarot, we have 10 of Pentacles. Wow, beautiful energy. From the astrological deck, we have Saturn and Leo, and it says generosity. And then from the archetype deck, we have the scribe. So on the light attribute of the scribe, it says preserving knowledge and information. And on the shadow attribute, it says altering facts or plagiarizing others' work. Okay, let's read you the caretaker of feelings. It says a person who values themselves and doesn't sell themselves short. A person who doesn't settle and knows what they deserve. A nurturing, psychic, sweet, intuitive person. A person in tune and sensitive to the emotions of others. This is associated with Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, houses 4, 8, and 12, as well as the second house and the North Node. Okay, so it feels like this particular decision, is going to bring you a lot of self-love, a lot of forgiveness, okay? And an establishment, a very strong establishment of your own boundaries. And not just boundaries between yourself and the world or yourself and others, but boundaries within your own self as well. Like the way that you talk to yourself in your own head, the way that you treat yourself. Do you show yourself love through the things that you eat? Or are you actually feeding yourself hatred through those particular choices? You know, what do you eat? What's your daily routine? How do you talk to yourself in your own head? What do you say to yourself when you look in the mirror? What sort of thoughts are running through your head day by day? And it feels like you're going to be, through this decision, it's going to be building some boundaries even in your own mind. Like, nope, I don't treat myself that way. I don't talk to myself that way. It's almost like you become a really inner loving parent for yourself through this decision. And it's going to start there. So this decision is going to start with that, but it's going to lead you to, I'm even feeling like this particular decision is going to get you set up on the right path in terms of career, leadership. You're going to be put on a pedestal of leadership in some way through this decision. Okay, so I don't know if that's going to be like starting your own business. You're going to have some sort of social or public platform in which you are in charge of others in some particular way, or in charge of something for yourself. But this decision is going to lead you to a place of security, okay? You know, generosity, of course, with the Saturn and Leo. It's like you're going to feel so healthy and overflowing with love within your own self that that cup is going to overflow to the world around you. And other people are going to benefit from this decision as well. So it's not even really a decision that's just about you, which is what Spirit's wanting me to point out. This particular decision is leading you towards the healing and love for other people too. Okay, I hope that makes sense. With the scribe here, which says preserving knowledge and information, it feels like this decision may have to do with, and we have Saturn here too, with that Saturn in Leo. This decision has to do with redefining some structures in your life or in society. It's almost like you're going to be very in tune with what sort of traditions and cycles need to remain, need to be preserved, and what traditions and cycles need to be torn down that are outdated and no longer serve yourself or the world at large, something like that. So it's connected to history, it's connected to ancestry. There's the energy from this pile, I'm going to be honest, it feels larger than life, to where I'm having a hard time piecing together all of it. This is one of those decisions that really steps you into a completely alternate reality and alternate universe. It's not just going to affect or change what you think it's going to. Like, this is connected, it's a huge ripple effect of things, okay? So I'm so zoomed far out on it that it's hard to kind of articulate all of this. But you're meant to be someone of importance here. And this decision is going to help you realize this and take charge of your life, basically, and recognize your importance, and help others see that as well. So, just a beautiful, beautiful energy from this particular decision, and a completely new reality for yourself as well. One that you feel very in tune with yourself, emotionally fulfilled, completely healed, very good at kind of setting up those healthy boundaries for yourself, and becoming very secure and stable financially, emotionally, mentally. And really, it feels like Saturn, the planet, I don't know if I'll have my video up yet or not when this one comes out, but check out my channel just in case. I did a video that's a message from Saturn, okay? It's in my astrology and tarot series, because I'm feeling that Saturn specifically really wants to work with you. And Saturn's all about creating and establishing a legacy in our life and a legacy for the world. And there's very strong Saturn energy from all of this. So I recommend checking out that pick a card I did with the message from Saturn and seeing what else Saturn wants to say to you about your life purpose and his purpose in your life, okay? So I'm sorry if this one was kind of all over, but I will say the decision feels strong, okay? It feels good. But do make sure that you go back and pick another pile just to see kind of what a different decision would look like. But I do really like this. It feels very, there's a lot of leadership and authority here within yourself. And a humbleness too, though, and a generosity, a lot of love, okay? So I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming to this reading. Be sure to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. That way I kind of can get that feedback from you guys and know if I should do more videos like this or not. But I will either see you at your next pile or in the next video that you watch of mine. So I love you guys so much. Thank you for coming. Hi, Pile 8. Welcome to your reading. I do want to just remind you before we get into this that make sure after you listen to this reading to go back and choose an additional pile for if you were to make the opposite decision to this one or a different decision, so you can compare and contrast the two, and hopefully it will help you make that choice. So let's start with the card topper you all chose. And I'll throw up some images of the cards as we read through them. But this is a very Capricorn looking doorway to me. I mean, very strong, sturdy. It looks like it's been standing for, I don't know, hundreds of years, very well maintained. Yeah, very good energy here. Okay, on the back, it says freedom flows. Don't hold yourself back from worldly freedom. Dream grand things for divine sacred reason. Okay, that gives me kind of that Aquarius energy. And Saturn rules Capricorn and Aquarius. So this feels Saturnian, and Saturn has to do with our legacy and our purpose in the earthly world in this life, like what we're supposed to be creating and producing. So I feel like this decision has to do with that. And it's Saturn, up until a certain point in our life, Saturn can really make us feel trapped in a certain area. but his purpose is to only do it for so long. Eventually, those walls are supposed to be broken down, and you're supposed to experience the freedom and the liberation that comes with being trapped for so long and now having access and freedom. And Saturn, wherever it is in your chart, kind of represents where you're supposed to really become the wise, strong expert in something. You'll feel held back for a long time. Like, I can't do it. It's impossible. It's so hard. But then at some point, there's always kind of this breakthrough. Okay. So, it's interesting because I did another pile where there was a strong Saturn energy as well, and I feel it here too. So I'm going to go ahead and say to you all that I do recommend, after you do your readings here, go to my channel and find my pick a card video that's a message from Saturn. It's in my astrology and tarot series. I think I'm going to go ahead and make sure that that video posts before this one. Okay, that way those of you that have these piles with this strong Saturn energy can check that out right after this, because I do feel like Saturn has a very special message for you, and that video would be very helpful for you in this decision as well. Okay, enough chit chat. Let me flip over all the cards and we'll see kind of overall what the energy is from this particular decision. Okay, we have level 9, the monk, and it's reversed, and that's from the tarot deck I created. I'll read this to you in just a second. From the interactive cards, we have, that is so crazy, you guys. Okay, so level 9, the monk, that is, that's the hermit card in the tarot. And this interactive deck, even though it's not associated with the tarot, it has this card, which every time it comes out, I always say, this looks like the hermit in the tarot. So we have that twice, that energy twice here. Okay, from the standard tarot, we have the world, and this is a Saturn card. So there's that Saturn energy. Lots of earth energy so far, because Virgo is an earth sign as well. From the astrological deck, we have Mars in Capricorn. It says authority. Wow. Okay, and from the archetype deck, we have the Exorcist. Okay, so the light attribute of this card says, freeing yourself and others of destructive impulses. And on the shadow attribute, it says, fear of facing your own demons. Okay, the level 9 monk card says, because it's in reverse, it says, refusal to listen to good advice, unable to soul search, not in a position to give counsel or shed light on something, not wise, not alone. It's associated with Virgo, the 6th and 12th house axis, and the 3rd and 9th house axis, or, basically the cadent houses. So this is interesting. It feels like if you make this decision, this almost feels like a roller coaster. It's going to lead you on a bit of a roller coaster ride, okay? So, and it almost feels like this decision, depending on how you handle it, could lead to 2 different outcomes. I know that's weird. That didn't come up in any other pile, but it feels like this decision has a lot to do, its outcome has a lot to do with your own self-awareness as you make it, okay? So this decision could be the right decision and could be very positive and feel very good if you are willing to really humble yourself, make yourself extremely self-aware, face your own inner demons, like really do the shadow work through this decision, really peek and look into your own inner ugliness or your own inner darkness, be receptive to other people's advice, and really take an authoritative position over yourself through this position. And a good authority figure loves us, but also knows that in order to love us, honesty is needed, structure is needed, discipline is needed, right? So it's like you're going to be, you could either through this decision take that route that I just listed, or through this decision, you could go the opposite route with it. And this all has to do with how you're handling it internally, which would be to maybe have a fragile ego, too fragile of an ego through this, not be humble enough to take in other people's advice, expressing your authoritative energy on others in a negative way instead of focusing in on yourself. Like, no, I'm not going to listen to that. I'm not going to do that. I don't care what you have to say. Okay. And therefore still feeling very trapped, because it feels like this decision has to do with you no longer wanting to feel trapped in something or an area of your life. And the message I'm getting from this pile is, well, you can make this decision, but unless you handle it in the right way, you're still going to feel just as trapped as you were before. That's what I see with the World card, because you'll notice that the woman in the World card, she is surrounded by this wreath that could look very entrapping, right? Could be very stifling still. But the World card, which is that Saturn energy, is also about achievement through tough work, being very practical and grounded and really coming face to face with reality, no longer allowing yourself to be in an illusion about something. You know, if there's things you need to admit about yourself or weaknesses that you have, like being able to admit and look at those things in the face so that you can really understand and work with your own limits, versus just believing that you are, that you don't have limits and yeah, being oblivious to that. So it's not so much the decision here that matters. It's about making sure that you handle the decision and the process of it in the right way. I'm going to be honest, this feels risky here because it's so hard to like really know how self-aware you are at any given moment, because really we always think that we're self-aware. It's not until we kind of look back maybe years later that we think, wow, I did not realize that about myself then. So there is risk here because you could go into this decision and really believe that you are truly being self-aware, you're being humble, you're taking in others' advice, you are freeing yourself of your destructive impulses, but you could accidentally be doing the opposite. And so that's still going to lead you in this ring of entrapment where you're going to still feel like, man, I thought that I was finally breaking this cycle in my life through this decision, but I still feel like I'm in this cycle. Okay. So it kind of be like the equivalent of, maybe you wanting to leave your job because you really think the problem at your job is these coworkers or bosses that you have that are awful and you just don't want to deal with it anymore. And so you think leaving your job is the answer. So you leave your job, but then you end up with kind of the same dynamic at your new job. And the dynamic feels negative and toxic because in reality, you haven't learned how to assert yourself and stand up for yourself. And so you end up in the same cycle of like every time you go to a new job, you always feel like you are being kind of walked all over or not acknowledged, or like you have to put on this mask for people. And the reality is, anywhere you work, you're going to end up feeling that way until you really go within and heal whatever it is within that makes you afraid of standing up or voicing your opinion, afraid of being assertive. You know what I mean? So it feels something like that, where it's like, look, this decision could end up being great, but that's really not the issue. The issue really isn't about making any decision. The issue is about shadow work and healing some things within. Okay. But do make sure that you pick a second pile, see what the alternate choice is. Like I said, there is a risk here because it's hard to be self-aware, but if you truly roll your sleeves up and go within and do the work, it is going to solve this for you. You're going to be able to solve it internally even. And you can make the decision to leave as well, but just know that this cycle will kind of follow you around until you break through it finally by going within. And I actually have a really good pick a card that's about, why am I in this cycle? Like, why do I keep running into the same issue over and over again? And how can I get out? And that might be a great video for you guys to watch as well and expand on this message. So, anyway, very interesting reading. Really enjoyed this. And I really feel for you because the inner work is the toughest part, because that's what's hard to see clearly. So, anyways, comment below if you would like. I'd love to talk with you down there. Otherwise, I will see you at the next pile that you pick or the next video that you watch of mine. Love you guys. Hi, Pile 9. Welcome to your reading. I do want to remind you before we get into this, make sure that after this reading, you go back and you choose a different pile for if you were to make the opposite decision to this one or something different. That way you can compare and contrast the two, and it will really hopefully help you make the choice that you need to make. So let's start with your card topper. You guys have the coolest doorway. I mean, look at all these vines and everything on this card. It's so cool looking. It's like it's built into a cave or something. Okay, the back of the card says, hummingbird song, nectar of sweetness, enjoy it brings, the hummingbird's healing, as medicine it sings. And it says to pass this card on. Beautiful. So there could be this decision could have to do with a desire to connect to your roots in some way, like your ancestry or your heritage, or just the earth in general, maybe wanting to, move out of the city and into the country, or take a vacation that's more out in the wilderness, or I don't know, get in touch with some activities or hobbies that really connect you to your ancestry or roots or nature of the earth in some way. It could have something to do with that, but let's flip over all the rest of the cards and get kind of overall like an energy feel for this decision and see if it's what you should do. Okay, so on my tarot deck, we have the participant of endeavors, and I'll read that one to you in just a second. From the interactive cards, we have the panda bear chewing on the bamboo, so more nature here. From the standard tarot, we have the Queen of Cups. That's Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces energy. From the astrological deck, we have Mars in Scorpio, and it says revenge. Wow. And then from the archetype deck, we have the storyteller. The light attribute on this card says ability to experience and express life through stories and symbols. That's interesting because that really connects with the hummingbird song. So there could be some sort of communication here or a creative endeavor that involves communicating or writing or singing or poetry. The shadow attribute says making up tales that harm others. Okay, so on the participant of endeavors card, it does want me to add a card. Let me add a card here because it says focusing on blank and it says to add cards. So let me pull out my tarot deck. Okay, so the Seven of Swords came out. So focusing on this Seven of Swords energy. This also says a flighty partner, an adventurous person, a person that comes and goes, a passionate but unreliable relationship. And this card is associated with Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, houses 1, 5, and 9, as well as the 6th house and the descendant. So Seven of Swords is about someone who has done something sneaky or sneaking around, maybe doing things that they shouldn't be doing, okay? It feels like if you make this particular choice, you're going to be using your past, okay, as a means of creation. Using your past experiences, maybe in a relationship or in love, in order to, it's like you're trying to find a healthier expression for this pent up energy, whether it be pain or anger or whatever. Like you do feel like this is going to be your way of getting revenge against what was done to you. Like, oh, you're going to cross me? Well, I'm going to blast you on social media, expose you, let everyone know, what you did. Or I'm going to, it's kind of reminds me of like, Taylor Swift. She always writes songs about her exes. That's like her form of revenge. It's something like that. You're going to be tapping into your emotions in order to, I don't know, create from this place of pain in a way that's going to, I don't know, it'll feel like an outlet for you in some way. I do see that it will give you a sense of like playfulness and closure maybe about this situation by kind of focusing on this. And I do see that it will be, I don't know, it almost feels kind of entertaining in a way. You feel entertained by this. I do want to caution you to really, because this, I want to be careful with kind of how I'm wording this. I want to caution you to really focus on your own ethical code as you create from this, okay? Really make something or do something that's not going to just feel good in the moment, okay? Something you're going to be able to look back on years from now and still feel very proud about the way that you handled or did it, okay? Because I do think there's a way to make this choice, make this decision in a way that's very healing and empowering for you without doing anything that you're going to feel shameful of or regretful of later on. There is a way to do it. But on the flip side, there's a way to do it the other way, where, yeah, at first it's going to feel really good to get that revenge and that excitement and playfulness about the situation and kind of one up. But years from now, or maybe not even years, maybe a shorter amount of time than that, you're going to be like, damn, why did I shouldn't have gone that far. Okay. So that's really the decision that needs to be made here. Because I do think you have a talent here for, I don't know, spinning your past, telling your story in a way that is very cathartic for you. it's like a way to release baggage for you, and I think it's something you should have the right to do. Maybe this has to do with opening up to a friend or a family member about some things that have been going on in your personal life. I think that's cathartic. For others of you, it literally has to do with like writing that breakup song, or yeah, exposing someone on social media for what they did. uh, but it feels like it's interesting because it feels like you're going to become much more grounded and rooted and connected to yourself through this experience. Okay. The only thing I would caution is, just making sure that you are tapped into your own conscience and your own ethical code as you are doing this. There is a right way to do it. Okay. Maybe you've been holding back on this decision because you feel like there's only a negative way to do it, or only a way that's going to be viewed negatively, but that's not the case. There is a way to do this that, doesn't carry any negative karma with it. Okay. You can certainly create or communicate about your past and your perspective and your truth in a way that doesn't, in a way that isn't unethical, I guess is the best way I can put it. So I think this will be very cathartic for you and will release a lot off of you, and I think that's needed. So I like this decision. But do make sure that you go back and choose a different pile for, like, if you were to make the opposite decision, just so you can compare and contrast the two and see which one you want to go with. But you do have a talent here. You have some sort of talent around communication in some way that I think should be utilized more. So don't trap yourself. Don't close up too much, because it's almost like this could lead to a new sort of hobby or talent or endeavor as well through this experience. Okay, that could bring you a lot of kind of joy and lightheartedness. All right, so comment below if you would like. I would love to talk with you down there, and hopefully I will see you either at your next pile that you choose here or in my next YouTube video. I love you guys so much. Bye.